Lily hesitated at the doorway, unsure if she should step in. The penthouse looked nothing like the man she'd imagined, not cold or sterile, but quietly human. Books stacked beside an untouched piano, an old photograph of a woman laughing by the sea, a glass of half-drunk whiskey left beside a candle that had melted too far down. Ethan glanced up from the window, his tie loosened, eyes tired but piercing. "You came," he said softly, like he wasn't sure whether it was good or bad. She held out his phone. "You left this at the foundation event." He took it, fingers brushing hers, a spark, brief but deep enough to make her breath catch. She tried to step back, but something about the way he looked at her, not with power, not with arrogance, but with quiet ache, rooted her to the spot. "Do you ever wonder," he asked, almost to himself, "why some people walk into your life exactly when you stop believing in anyone?" Lily didn't answer. The rain outside deepened. Thunder rolled like a warning. He sighed and looked away. "I'm sorry if I made things awkward at the gala. You reminded me of someone." "Someone you lost?" she asked before she could stop herself. Ethan smiled faintly. "Not lost. Just too far to reach." There was a pause, heavy, fragile. Lily wanted to leave. She wanted to stay. Her heart, traitorous and wild, leaned closer. He noticed. "You shouldn't be here," he said gently. "I know," she whispered. And yet, neither of them moved. The clock ticked. The candle bent. Her pulse screamed against the silence. One small step closer, and she could feel the warmth of his breath. Everything about it was wrong. The timing, the difference between them, the world that would never forgive. But still, he reached out first, not to pull her in, but to wipe away the tear she didn't know had fallen. "You deserve something simple," he murmured, "something the world won't break." "Maybe I just want something real," she replied, voice trembling. For the first time, Ethan looked at her like she was something holy and dangerous all at once. And when her hand brushed his, even for a heartbeat, the world tilted off its axis. The elevator dinged softly behind her. A way out. A reminder of all the rules she was breaking. But her heart, it didn't listen. If anyone had seen them then, two souls balanced between right and ruin, they would have seen the moment desire learned to speak louder than fear. If you were there in that moment, what would you have done? Be honest, comment your answer below. And if words fail you, just hit like to prove that compassion still matters. Lily didn't remember the moment she stopped resisting, only that one breath turned into another, and suddenly the air between them was charged with something dangerous and soft. Ethan stepped back first, running a hand through his hair as if trying to erase what almost happened. "You should go," he whispered. "I will," she replied, but her voice betrayed her. She didn't move. Neither did he. The thunder outside cracked open the sky, and with it, something inside both of them broke free. When Ethan finally spoke again, his voice trembled beneath control. "I've spent years building walls, and you just walk in, looking like a reminder of everything I buried." She wanted to tell him she didn't mean to, but her lips only managed a breathy, "I didn't plan this either." He smiled, small, pained, human. "That's what makes it dangerous." When she turned to leave, her fingers grazed his hand again, and this time he didn't pull away. Their eyes locked, hers wide with fear, his shadowed with longing, and the storm outside became the soundtrack of their undoing. For one impossible second, the world stopped judging. There was no billionaire, no foundation, no whispers. Just two lonely people who'd been strong for too long. Ethan leaned closer, voice breaking. "If I kiss you, it'll ruin everything." Lily's reply was barely a whisper. "Maybe everything needs to break." And it did. The moment their lips met, it wasn't passion that burned, it was grief. Every wound they'd hidden found its voice in that kiss. It wasn't right. But it was real. When they finally parted, the candle had died, and only the city lights held them in gold. "I shouldn't have," she began. "I know," he interrupted softly, eyes lowered. "But I can't pretend I don't feel it." She took a shaky breath, the weight of what they'd done sinking in. "You don't even know me." "I know enough to miss you already," he said, and that broke her completely. She turned away, clutching her coat like a shield. "This can't happen again." "It won't," he promised, even though both of them knew he was lying. The elevator doors closed between them, but neither moved. It was as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for one of them to be stronger. Neither was. That night, Lily cried for something she couldn't name, for the guilt of touching what she shouldn't, for the ache of finding something true in the wrong place. And Ethan, standing alone by the window, whispered to the empty skyline, "I warned you, but my heart didn't listen either." Outside, the city washed itself clean with rain. Inside, two hearts carried a secret that would never let them rest again. Have you ever had someone help you when no one else would? Write yes and tell me their name. Maybe gratitude can travel further than we think. Morning came too quietly. The rain had stopped, leaving the city wrapped in that faint, silver calm that follows a storm. Lily sat at her small kitchen table, hands around a mug she hadn't touched. The reflection of the steam in the window looked like ghosts, soft, shapeless, haunting. She replayed every second of the night before, every breath, every trembling touch. Shame pressed hard against her chest, but beneath it hid something far more dangerous, longing. She had touched fire and found warmth instead of pain. Her phone buzzed. Ethan's name. Her heart stuttered. She didn't answer. She couldn't. All morning, she fought herself. But by noon, she found herself reading news articles about him. The headlines that painted him as ruthless, the photos where he smiled like a man who never felt anything at all. Yet she knew better now. She had seen the cracks in his armor. The way he looked at her, not with hunger, but with need. Her friend Grace knocked on the door, breaking the silence. "Lily, you look awful. Are you sick?" "I'm fine," she lied. Grace frowned. "Fine people don't look like they've wrestled with angels all night." Lily managed a weak laugh, then fell quiet. "What if you did something that felt wrong, but in that moment, it felt like the only right thing in the world?" Grace studied her, then whispered, "Then maybe it wasn't wrong. Maybe it was just real." The words stuck in Lily's heart like light through glass. Meanwhile, across the city, Ethan sat in his office, surrounded by contracts and screens, but nothing could drown the echo of her voice. Every sound reminded him of her laughter, every scent of her perfume clung to his memory. He tried to bury himself in work, to forget. But guilt and desire are stubborn companions. By evening, his resolve broke. He texted, "I know I said it was a mistake, but I can't unfeel it." Lily stared at the message, tears welling. She typed a reply, then erased it. Again and again. Until finally, she sent 3 words, "I can't either." Her phone buzzed again. "Can we talk? Just talk." She hesitated. Every rational part of her screamed no. But her soul whispered yes. Hours later, she found herself back in that same building, standing once more before the elevator doors that had witnessed their undoing. Her reflection stared back, worn, scared, alive. When the doors opened, Ethan was waiting, eyes softer this time. He didn't move closer. Neither did she. They just stood there, suspended between what they wanted and what they shouldn't. "You came," he said again, like it was both miracle and sin. Lily nodded, her throat dry. "To end this, or maybe understand it." "Then let's try," he said quietly. The night settled around them, not as chaos this time, but as confession. Words replaced silence. Pain replaced pretense. And somewhere in between regret and need, 2 broken hearts tried to find a reason not to break again. Now it's your turn. Share one small good thing you did recently. Write it below so others remember that humanity still lives. Your story might light someone's path tonight. The air between them was gentler this time, not wild like before, but heavy with all the words they hadn't said. Ethan motioned toward the couch. Lily sat down slowly, clutching her purse like a shield. He poured water into 2 glasses, his hands shaking slightly. "You deserve to know why I stopped believing in love," he said, voice low. "Before you judge me, you should understand." Lily looked up, her eyes searching his. "Then tell me." He took a deep breath, gaze drifting toward the rain-stained window. 5 years ago, I was engaged. Her name was Anna. She believed in things I didn't: kindness, hope, second chances. She wanted to open a hospital wing for children. We started building it together. His voice faltered. Then she got sick. I threw everything I had at the doctors, but money couldn't buy time. The night she died, she held my hand and said, "Promise me you'll still see beauty in people." Lily felt tears fill her eyes. Ethan's jaw tightened. I broke that promise. I buried myself in work, in money, in walls so high no one could climb them. Until you, she whispered, and I made you remember. He nodded. You made me feel something again, and that scared me more than losing everything. The silence stretched, soft and suffocating. Lily wanted to reach for him, to hold the man behind the armor. But she also knew that pain that deep didn't just fade. It lingered in corners of the heart that no one dared to touch. She said quietly, "Maybe she sent me." He met her eyes, startled. "Why would you say that?" "Because sometimes," Lily said, voice trembling, "the universe gives you one more chance to keep a promise you broke." For a long moment, Ethan said nothing. Then he stood, walked over, and gently took her hand, not with desire this time, but with gratitude. "You have no idea how much I wanted to believe that." Lily smiled faintly. "Then start tonight." But hope, when it returns, often brings its shadow, fear. And as they sat there, the doorbell rang. Ethan froze. "Who's that?" she asked. He hesitated, then answered, "Someone from my past I never thought I'd face again." Lily's heart raced as the bell rang again, harder this time. When Ethan opened the door, a tall woman in her 50s stood there, elegant, sharp-eyed, and furious. "So it's true," she said coldly. "You've replaced my daughter." Lily's breath caught. Anna's mother. Ethan's face went pale. "Mrs. Hartley, please." But she cut him off, voice trembling with rage. "You couldn't save her, and now you're trying to save yourself with another girl. Shame on you." The words hit harder than any storm. Lily wanted to speak, to explain, but Ethan's pain was too raw. He whispered, "This isn't what it looks like." Mrs. Hartley stepped forward. "Grief isn't a wound you heal with touch." The door slammed. Silence again, but this time, it wasn't peaceful. It was punishment. Ethan turned away, eyes glassy. "Now you see why I said we shouldn't have started this." Lily swallowed her tears. "No, Ethan. I see why you needed to." Outside, thunder rolled once more, and inside that apartment, the truth finally stripped them bare. If that moment hit you hard, leave a red heart hash. Sometimes one little symbol says what our hearts can't. Lily didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's face, torn between guilt and something that looked too much like love. Her heart felt heavy, but not with regret. It was with the weight of truth, finally spoken. By morning, she walked to her job at the bookstore, the air sharp and grey. People hurried past, coffee cups in hand, umbrellas tapping against wet sidewalks. To them, life was ordinary. To her, it wasn't anymore. Her phone buzzed again. "Ethan, I'm sorry for what happened last night. You didn't deserve that." She typed back quickly before fear stopped her, "Neither did you." Hours passed, and she thought maybe that was it, that they'd go back to pretending nothing had happened. But around noon, Ethan walked through the bookstore door. He looked tired, dressed down for once, no tie, no armor. The customers turned, whispering. Billionaires didn't belong here, among paper and dust. He stopped in front of her desk. "Can we talk?" Her voice wavered. "Here." "Outside," he said. "Please." They stood under the awning while rain began again, soft and cold. Ethan took a deep breath. "I can't keep doing this. Pretending I don't care." "You don't have to," she said quietly. "But I do," he whispered. "Because caring about you means breaking every promise I made to the woman I buried. It means letting the world think I've moved on when I'm still standing in her shadow." Lily's throat tightened. "And what if I'm not asking you to move on? What if I just want to stand beside you in the dark?" He looked at her then, really looked, and something inside him cracked. "You make it sound so simple." "Maybe it is," she said. "Maybe we're the ones who make love too complicated." For a moment, he almost smiled. But then, over her shoulder, a familiar figure appeared, Mrs. Hartley again, her face pale, grief twisting her words. "So this is where you hide now," she said bitterly. "With her." Lily stepped back. Ethan tried to speak, but Mrs. Hartley's pain filled every inch of space. "You think you can rewrite my daughter's story by loving another? You're just trying to bury guilt with romance." Ethan's voice broke. "No. I'm trying to keep her promise. To still see beauty in people. Lily reminded me of that." The older woman's anger faltered for a second, but only a second. "Then prove it. End this before you destroy another heart." When she left, silence followed her like a curse. Ethan turned to Lily, eyes full of sorrow. "She's right. I'm not ready for this. I thought I was, but I'm not." Lily nodded, her heart cracking quietly. "Then I'll go." She turned to leave, rain soaking her shoulders. He called after her, voice shaking. "I wish I'd met you before all of this." She stopped, whispering, "Maybe we still can, just in another life." And then she walked away. No fight, no goodbye. Just the soft sound of footsteps fading into the storm. Be honest, could you forgive after what they did? Type forgive if you could, or never if it would break you too deeply. Days turned into weeks, yet the silence between them grew louder than any words could. Lily moved through her days like a ghost, stacking books, making tea, pretending laughter was easy. But every sound, every scent of rain, carried a memory of him. Ethan. Sometimes she'd catch herself checking her phone, expecting his name to light up the screen. It never did. He had kept his promise, to stay away. And that, somehow, hurt worse than anything he could have said. Across the city, Ethan sat by the same window where she'd first stood. The whiskey glass still waited, untouched. He had fired 2 board members that week, signed deals, smiled for cameras, all without feeling a thing. The emptiness was efficient. Predictable. Safe. But safety had never felt this cold. He opened his laptop to finalize another acquisition, yet instead of typing, he found himself searching her name. Her photo from the bookstore's charity page appeared, smiling, eyes soft. He exhaled shakily. "You're doing fine without me," he muttered, though the ache in his voice betrayed him. Lily, on the other side of the city, wasn't fine either. That night, she visited the children's hospital where Anna's memorial plaque hung. Her hands trembled as she traced the name. Anna Hartley. The woman whose absence still held Ethan hostage. "I met him," Lily whispered to the plaque, tears slipping down her cheeks. "And I loved him, even though I wasn't supposed to. But I see now, he never stopped loving you. I don't blame him." Behind her, footsteps echoed. She turned. Ethan stood there, rain dripping from his coat. He looked at her like a man standing at the edge of confession. "I didn't know you came here," he said softly. "I just wanted to understand," she replied. "To know what kind of love could still hold someone after death." He stepped closer, voice trembling. "It wasn't fair to you. I tried to push you away because part of me thought loving again meant betraying her. But every time I think of her promise, to still see beauty, I see you." Lily swallowed, her tears falling freely now. "Then stop running from what she wanted you to find." He reached out, his hand hovering near hers. "And if I hurt you again?" She gave a faint, trembling smile. "Then I'll still be grateful I met you. Because even pain means I felt something real." They stood there in the quiet glow of hospital lights, 2 hearts stitched together by sorrow and hope. Ethan finally took her hand, not in passion this time, but peace. For the first time, both of them stopped fighting the ghosts. Outside, the night rain turned to soft snow, as if even the sky wanted to forgive. If you believe love still wins, comment in. Let's fill this section with hope. Maybe someone scrolling right now needs to see it. A week later, Lily received an envelope without a return address. The paper felt old, the handwriting delicate and looping. Inside was a letter, worn at the edges, folded too many times. The name at the bottom froze her breath, Anna Hartley. It wasn't meant for her. But fate has strange ways of giving people what they are ready to carry. She read quietly in the bookstore's back room, sunlight cutting through the dust. "To whoever finds this after me, If Ethan ever forgets how to love, remind him that pain isn't punishment. It's proof that he once cared deeply. Don't try to erase me. Just help him see that life still has color beyond my name. The paper trembled in her hands. It was as if Anna herself had reached out through time, blessing what Lily had been too afraid to believe, that love wasn't betrayal, but continuation. She didn't tell Ethan immediately. Instead, she tucked the letter in her coat pocket, waiting for the right moment. That evening, she found him standing outside the children's hospital again. The snow had deepened, and his breath came out in small clouds. He looked up as she approached, his expression a fragile mix of exhaustion and hope. "You came," he said quietly. She nodded. "I found something. I think it was meant for you." She handed him the letter. His hands shook as he unfolded it, eyes scanning the familiar handwriting. The moment he read Anna's name, his knees almost gave out. He read the words in silence, and by the end, tears slipped down his face, slow, unguarded. "She wrote this before she died," he whispered, voice breaking. "I thought I'd lost every part of her. But she wanted me to live." Lily stepped closer. "She didn't just want you to live, Ethan. She wanted you to love." He looked at her, eyes red but alive. "And you think I can?" "I think you already are," she whispered. He took a deep breath, the kind that sounds like forgiveness. Then he folded the letter carefully and pressed it to his chest. "For years, I believed healing meant forgetting. But maybe it's remembering differently." The street light above flickered gold across their faces. The snow glowed around them, like the world itself had gone still just to listen. Ethan reached for her hand, not out of desperation this time, but quiet certainty. "I don't know where this goes," he said softly, "but I want to walk it with you." Lily smiled, tears glistening in her lashes. "Then let's not plan. Let's just be." He nodded, the faintest smile curving through his grief. "She'd have liked you, you know." "I think she already does," Lily said, looking up at the sky. And for the first time in years, Ethan laughed, the sound low, honest, almost new. Somewhere above them, snow kept falling like a slow blessing, and two hearts finally stopped running from love. If this story moved you, don't scroll past quietly. Tap like, not for me, but for the soul who carried this pain and still stayed kind. One click can be your way of saying, "I felt you." The world felt reborn the next morning. The snow had stopped sometime before dawn, leaving everything wrapped in white silence: rooftops, cars, the small park across from Ethan's building. For the first time in years, he woke before sunrise, not to chase work, but because his heart wouldn't let him sleep. Lily was asleep on the couch, wrapped in his blanket, strands of hair falling across her face. The fire had burned down to embers, but the warmth still lingered, quiet, steady, alive. Ethan sat across from her, a cup of coffee growing cold in his hand, and simply watched. Not in hunger or guilt, but gratitude. He thought of the letter folded inside the piano bench, of Anna's words that still echoed in his chest: "Pain isn't punishment. It's proof you once cared." When Lily stirred awake, their eyes met, and she smiled sleepily. "You're staring," she murmured. He chuckled softly. "Trying to remember what peace looks like." She sat up, pulling the blanket around her. "You don't have to remember anymore. Just feel it." He reached for her hand, and their fingers fit like they had always known how. "I used to think love ended when someone left," he said. "But it's not about endings. It's about who stays after the storm." Lily smiled faintly. "And who learns to open their heart again." The city outside began to wake, soft horns, children laughing, the faint bark of a distant dog. Life, imperfect but beautiful, moved on. They walked to the window together, the sunlight stretching golden lines across the room. Ethan whispered, "You know, I don't think Anna wanted me to forget her. I think she wanted me to share what she taught me." Lily leaned against his shoulder. "Then tell me." He smiled. "That love doesn't have to be perfect to be worth it." For the first time, he said it without pain. And Lily, who had spent her life loving quietly, afraid of breaking something sacred, finally believed it too. Later that day, Ethan reopened the hospital wing Anna had dreamed of. This time, A new plaque was placed beside hers. It read, "For those who taught us that love doesn't die, it changes form." Lily stood beside him as the crowd applauded softly, tears in her eyes. Ethan turned to her, whispering, "Thank you for reminding me what living feels like." She smiled. "Thank you for letting me." As they left the building, the wind carried the faintest melody from the piano upstairs, the one Ethan hadn't touched since Anna died. But now, someone was playing it again. Maybe a nurse, maybe a child, or maybe life itself reminding them that stories never really end. Lily looked back once, at the light filtering through hospital windows, and whispered to herself, she knew it was wrong to touch him, but her heart didn't listen. And this time, she wasn't ashamed of it. Because that touch had healed two souls, one still living, and one remembered. Ethan took her hand, smiling through quiet tears. "Ready?" She nodded. For once, yes. They stepped into the light together, not perfect, not unscarred, but finally whole. And somewhere, beyond the snow and sky, a promise kept glowing softly, that love, in any form, was still the most human thing of all.